These floating roads and bridges seem to defy gravity. They're built to withstand changing water levels and provide vital connections in challenging environments. Join me, we're going to discover 15 of the most fascinating floating roads and bridges from around the globe. Let's start with number 15. The Hood Canal Bridge is a vital link in western Washington, connecting the Olympic and Kitsap Peninsulas by spanning across Hood Canal in Puget Sound. Officially known as the William A. Budge Bridge, it's the longest floating bridge in the world located in a saltwater tidal basin, measuring about 7,800 feet in length. It opened in 1961 and has since been a crucial transportation route for both locals and freight carriers, while also providing access for recreational travelers. It was designed as a floating bridge due to the challenging conditions in the area, including deep water and extreme tidal changes of Hood Canal, where the water depth can range from 80 to 340 feet. Now, what makes Hood Canal Bridge particularly unique is its large floating pontoons to support the structure, a method that defies conventional bridge building techniques. The floating portion of the bridge spans about 6,520 feet, while the rest of the structure is supported by conventional approaches. The floating design is able to withstand the tidal swings of up to 16.5 feet without really being affected by any fluctuating water levels. One of the biggest engineering hurdles faced during its construction was skepticism from engineers regarding the feasibility of floating bridges. In such a volatile marine environment, especially with the high tides and strong tidal currents that are common in the Hood Canal. However, the depth of the water below made traditional bridge construction methods prohibitively expensive. Over the years, the Canal Bridge has encountered its share of challenges. One of the most significant events happened in 1979, when the western half of the bridge was severely damaged during a windstorm. The bridge endured winds of up to 85 miles an hour, with gusts reaching 120 miles an hour, causing the western drawspan and pontoons to break loose and sink. Fortunately, no casualties resulted from this disaster, and the bridge was fully repaired and reopened in 1982. There was a major retrofit in 2003 through 2009. The extensive work required a 5-week closure of the bridge, during which new pontoons were floated into position and connected to anchors on the seabed. That project, which cost about $470 million, was funded by a combination of state, federal, and agency funds, highlighting the ongoing need to maintain and upgrade the structure. The bridge closure in the late 2000s raised concerns about traffic disruption, with the bridge averaging around 15,000 vehicles a day on weekdays and about 20,000 on weekends. During peak times, especially in summer, traffic could exceed over 20,000 vehicles a day. Number 14. Demerara Harbor Bridge. The Demerara Harbor Bridge, located just south of Georgetown in Guyana, is one of the most unique floating bridges. Spanning the Demerara River, the bridge measures about 6,000 feet in length and was, at the time of its construction, the longest floating bridge globally. Though it no longer holds that record, it still remains an engineering marvel and a critical transportation link. Connecting the capital city with the west bank of Demerara, today it accommodates roughly 14,000 vehicles a day. Instead of relying on solid supports anchored in the riverbed, the bridge is kept afloat by 114 large pontoons. These buoyant structures distribute the weight of the vehicles across the bridge, preventing it from sinking into the water. The 61 spans of the bridge rest on these pontoons, which make it possible to cross the river without need for intrusive columns. This method of construction was ideal for a river as wide and deep as this one, where traditional bridge foundations would have been difficult and expensive to build. At the time of its construction, the bridge was only expected to last about 10 years. Engineers had designed it as a temporary solution, fully aware that its floating nature would limit its durability. However, over 40 years later, the bridge remains operational. Despite its remarkable longevity, the bridge's future is uncertain. Plans to build a new, more permanent bridge have been in the works since 2017, with the intention of constructing it a mile north of the current structure. A feasibility study published later that year stated that the Harbor Bridge had, quote, long past its technical lifetime, end quote. However, some locals, including prominent government figures, have called for the preservation of the bridge. Number 13. The Nordland Bridge. The Nordland Bridge, located in Norway, is a remarkable combination of a cable-stayed and pontoon bridge. It connects the mainland at Klauvaneset in Bergen municipality to the island of Flatøy in the Alver municipality. Now, this bridge, with its hybrid design, stands as one of the most innovative bridges in the world, blending advanced engineering with practical necessity. The bridge's length of 5,295 feet includes a 4,000-foot floating section supported by 10 pontoons. These pontoons, which are not laterally anchored due to the fjord's depth, keep the bridge afloat by distributing the weight. The roadway rests on an orthotropic deck, a lightweight and efficient design. This floating section is a steel box girder bridge known for its durability and strength, and by using these pontoons that distribute the load, the bridge avoids the need for traditional supports in the deep water. The cable-stayed section of the bridge is also a defining feature. A towering H-pylon stands 325 feet tall, supporting the 564-foot main span. This section is reinforced by 48 cables, each capable of supporting massive loads. The main span provides 105-foot clearance for ships to pass beneath, ensuring that the bridge can accommodate both vehicular and maritime traffic. Historically, the need for the Nordland Bridge arose from the challenges of crossing the Salhusfjorden, a significant waterway separating Bergen and the Nordhordland district. Before the bridge, ferry services were the primary means of transportation across the fjord, but they were time-consuming and limited. The bridge was envisioned as a permanent solution to improve transportation here. Fun fact about this bridge is that it is the second longest bridge in Norway and the second pontoon bridge in the country. Additionally, its floating section is supported by pontoons that are not laterally anchored, which is a design choice that contributes to the bridge's ability to withstand the environment of the fjord. Well, despite the size and complexity, this bridge is designed to blend in seamlessly with the surroundings, making it not only a functional piece of infrastructure, but also a striking feature of the Norwegian landscape. Number 12. Hobart Bridge. The Hobart Bridge, once a floating arch bridge spanning the River Derwent in Tasmania, was a remarkable feat of bridge engineering. Opened in December 1943, it connected Hobart's eastern and western shores, providing a vital link for the city. Now, what set it apart from typical bridges was the floating design, which had never been seen before. It was constructed using hollow concrete pontoons, 24 in total, which were assembled into a crescent shape that curved upstream. This unique design allowed the bridge to float on the water while still providing a sturdy, functional road for vehicles. Its length was 3,154 feet, and it featured a two-lane road with a pedestrian footpath on one side. A key element was the lift span at the western edge of the bridge, which allowed ships to pass by raising the central section. This lift span provided a clearance of about 145 feet at low tide and was about 180 feet wide. In 1943, though, a violent storm damaged part of the bridge, prompting engineers to strengthen it. They anchored the bridge more securely to the riverbed and added cables to stiffen the structure. This allowed the bridge to handle traffic demands, but congestion became a growing problem. The increased traffic load eventually led to the decision to build a new bridge, the Tasman Bridge, which opened in 1964. The Hobart Bridge was closed to traffic on August 17, 1964, and its two sections were towed away the following day. The sections were moored for some time before one of them sank in 1970, and the remnants of the bridge were eventually cut up and disposed of in various locations. Number 11. The Kupil Floating Bridge. The Kupil Floating Bridge, located near Kupil Beach in Kerala, India, stands out as an exceptional, albeit simple, example of modern bridge design. Part of a larger initiative by the tourism department to develop floating bridges across Kerala's coastal regions, this bridge provides not only a practical route for pedestrians, but also a unique way to engage with the natural beauty of the area. The lightweight materials allows the bridge to support up to 50 people at a time without sinking. To prevent any excess sway and maintain stability during rough seas, the bridge is anchored at multiple points to the seabed. These anchors help ensure the safety of visitors, especially in unpredictable weather, and after a safety study conducted by the National Institute of Technology, recommendations were made to increase the number of handrails and additional anchors. The bridge was officially opened in October of 2023 as part of a broader tourism initiative. Its creation was a response to the growing demand for unique tourist experiences in the region. The bridge did quickly become popular, and drawing over 50,000 visitors in just the first 7 months of operation. Visitors flocked to the bridge, not only for the chance to walk above the sea, but also for the opportunity to experience the scenic beauty in a new way. Now, what sets this bridge apart from the other ones is its ability to provide an immersive experience for the visitors. Walking above the waves with the sound of the ocean and the sea breeze surrounding them creates a sense of connection with the natural environment that's unlike any other bridge. The ability to hold up to 50 people at once also allows visitors to share the experience with others, creating a sense of community among those exploring the area. Number 10. The Jin Bridge. The Jin Bridge, located in Guangzhou Jiangxi Province in China, stands as one of the most fascinating examples of historical floating bridges. Dating back to the Song Dynasty, which lasted from 960 to 1279 CE, this pontoon bridge spans the Gong River, and it's a rare surviving example of its kind. It's constructed from a series of approximately 100 wooden boats, each acting as a floating support for the wooden planks that form the bridge's roadway. The bridge stretches around 1,300 feet across the Gong River and provides a vital link between the northern and southern sides of the city. The wooden boats that serve as a floating foundation allow the bridge to adapt to any changing water levels in the river, and the use of pontoons made it more flexible than solid bridges. In a region with varying river levels and its ability to withstand seasonal floods, make it an important infrastructure feature. Now, what makes it pretty cool is its survival over the centuries. While many similar structures were either destroyed or became obsolete over time, this bridge remains a rare example of an ancient floating bridge that has endured into the modern age. Despite its simplicity, the bridge served an essential role in local trade and travel, allowing the residents here to navigate the river more efficiently. The bridge may not have the grandeur of some of the other stone structures, but its practicality and adaptability make it a fascinating subject of study. Though the bridge no longer serves as the main crossing over the river, it's an important historical relic and a symbol of the engineering techniques used in ancient China. Number 9. The Migiyama Bridge. The Migiyama floating bridge spans the waters of Lake Okutama in the Tama area of Tokyo, Japan. At 722 feet in length, this pontoon bridge is not only a functional crossing, but also a striking feature of the surrounding landscape. Known locally as Ukihashi, which translates to mean floating bridge, it connects visitors to the foothills of Mount Mito while offering an unforgettable experience over the reservoir's shimmering surface. This floating bridge is supported entirely by buoyant structures that allow it to rest on the lake's surface. Originally, these supports consisted of drum cans, but modern upgrades have introduced more resilient materials such as polyethylene and styrofoam floats. These components provide the necessary buoyancy while being lightweight and durable. The bridge's design is modular, with individual sections connected to form a continuous path. This modularity allows for easier maintenance and adaptability, making it a practical solution for crossing the reservoir's deep water. Lake Okutama, an artificial reservoir completed in 1957, was created by the construction of the Oguchi Dam to supply Tokyo with drinking water. The floating bridge at Lake Okutama were conceived to provide pedestrian access across the reservoir. The location of the Migiyama Bridge further enhances its uniqueness. It sits against a backdrop of forested mountains, offering panoramic views that change with the seasons. The bridge's proximity to attractions such as the Oguchi Shrine and Mount Mito make it a popular point for starting outdoor adventures. While primarily functional, the bridge's floating mechanism is a curiosity. Its design ensures stability even under the weight of foot traffic. This makes crossing not only practical, but safe, even for less experienced visitors. Number 8. The Jindo Sea Parting Road. The Jindo Sea Parting Road in South Korea is one of the most remarkable roads in the world. Not exactly a floating road like we've seen today in the world, this one isn't made by engineering. Instead, it stems from a natural phenomenon that creates a temporary path across the sea. You see, each year between March and July, this path emerges when the tide drops dramatically, connecting Jindo Island with Modo Island. While the legend surrounding this sea parting road is steeped in mystery, the scientific explanation behind it is much simpler and rooted in tidal forces. Tides caused by the moon's gravity create a predictable rise and fall in sea levels. However, in this case, a combination of tidal harmonics, that's variations in tidal patterns due to the relative positions of the Earth and Moon, creates an extraordinarily low tide, revealing a 1.7-mile long and 125-foot stretch of sand between the islands. For centuries, the Jindo Sea Parting Road has been a point of cultural significance, drawing attention from locals and travelers. Over time, the story became part of local folklore, and it was commemorated in the Jindo Miracle Sea Road Festival. It wasn't until 1975 that the phenomenon caught international attention when the former French ambassador to South Korea, Pierre Landy, likened it to the biblical story of Moses parting the Red Sea. The path only remains visible for a brief period, lasting a few hours before the tide rises and submerges the sand again. This rarity, combined with the festival atmosphere, makes it a unique and magical experience for anyone lucky enough to witness it. Moving on to number 7, the Burrows Bridge. The Burrows Bridge, located near New Amsterdam in Guyana, stands as a critical piece of infrastructure. Opened on December 23, 2008, it spans the Burrows River, connecting communities and boosting regional commerce. At its core, the bridge is a pontoon structure designed to float on the water using a series of large, hollow barges filled with air. These pontoons distribute the weight of vehicles evenly across the bridge, providing buoyancy and stability. The bridge also features movable spans, enabling it to accommodate river traffic by retracting to allow the passage of ships. Before the bridge's construction, crossing the river was a slow and cumbersome process reliant on ferries. The ferry service, while functional, was time-consuming, limited in capacity, and prone to delays. The need for a more efficient and reliable crossing became evident. The Burrows Bridge addressed that need, dramatically reducing travel times and eliminating the need for ferries. Its completion marked a significant milestone in Guyana's efforts to modernize its network. Together with Suriname's bridge, completed in 1999, it's contributed to stronger regional connectivity. Initially, it was managed by the Burrows Bridge Company Incorporated, and the bridge operated as a tolled facility. However, the high tolls initially charged became a contentious issue, prompting the Guyanese government to take control in 2018. By stabilizing the toll rates, the government ensured the bridge remained accessible to the public. The bridge spans about 1.25 miles, making it one of the longest floating bridges in the region, and its construction has had a profound economic impact by cutting travel time from hours to minutes, boosting trade and enhancing quality of life for communities on both sides of the river. Number 6, the William R. Bennett Bridge. The William R. Bennett Bridge, spanning Okanagan Lake in British Columbia, it's not just an essential transportation link, it's a rare engineering accomplishment. As Canada's only floating bridge, it stands out globally for its design. Completed on May 25, 2008, this bridge replaced the 1958 Okanagan Lake Bridge to accommodate growing traffic demands. The decision to construct a floating bridge stems from the unique conditions of Okanagan Lake. The lakebed is composed of soft sediments that can't support the weight of traditional piers or abutments, ruling out standard bridge designs as suspension or fixed pier bridges. This bridge floats on a series of 9 reinforced concrete pontoons, each measuring 82 feet wide and between 197 to 295 feet in length. The pontoons are large, watertight structures that displace enough water to support the weight of the bridge, vehicles, and other loads. The pontoons are interconnected along the bridge's 2,264-foot floating section, creating a stable platform. This design ensures that the bridge remains level and functional regardless of fluctuations in the lake's surface. Steel cables and anchors embedded deep into the lakebed secure the structure, preventing it from drifting while allowing it to rise and fall. By the early 2000s, the population and traffic in the valley had grown significantly, exceeding the bridge's capacity. Designed for 38,000 vehicles daily, it was handling around 50,000 vehicles by 2005. In 2008, the William R. Bennett Bridge replaced the older structure, providing a much-needed upgrade. This new bridge also eliminated the lift span, as its elevated navigation section provides 59 feet of clearance for boats. With the use of advanced engineering techniques and its ability to handle up to 80,000 vehicles now daily, making it an essential piece of infrastructure. Number 5, the Lacy v. Murrow Memorial Bridge. The Lacy v. Murrow Memorial Bridge, part of Interstate 90 corridor in Seattle, Washington, is one of the most significant floating bridges. At 6,620 feet long, it ranks as the second longest floating bridge, trailing only nearby Governor Albert D. Rossellini Bridge, Evergreen Point. Now, the Murrow Bridge is constructed using a series of large floating pontoons that support the bridge deck and keep it buoyant. These pontoons are filled with air and sealed to ensure they maintain their buoyancy. The bridge is essentially an array of these pontoons held together and anchored to the lakebed with cables. To ensure stability here, the pontoons are designed to be watertight, obviously with watertight doors preventing the water from entering and compromising the bridge's buoyancy. The history of the Murrow Bridge begins in 1921 when engineer Homer Hadley first proposed the idea of a floating bridge to cross Lake Washington, a project made necessary by the challenges of building a traditional bridge across such a large body of water. The project gained traction in the 1930s thanks to the effort of George Lightfoot, who is considered the father of the bridge. After years of lobbying, construction on the original bridge began in 1939 and was completed in 1940. One of the unique features of the original bridge was the movable span, which allowed large boats to pass through the center of the bridge. However, this design led to some issues. The road had a bulge due to the movable span, which made it difficult for vehicles to cross smoothly. These issues, combined with the bridge's inability to handle increasing traffic, eventually led to the construction of a new floating bridge parallel to the original one. The original one was closed for renovation in 1989, but in 1990, during refurbishment, the unthinkable happened. A storm filled the bridge's pontoons with rain and lake water, causing the section of the bridge to sink. The incident occurred after water used in the bridge's resurfacing process filled the pontoons and it wasn't properly removed. As the water accumulated, it overloaded the pontoons, which were linked together, and when one pontoon sank, it dragged the rest of the structure down with it. This disaster caused $69 million in damages, but fortunately resulted in no casualties. This incident delayed the reopening of the new bridge by more than a year, with the current version of the Burrows Bridge opening in 1993. Number 4. Vamir Aquaduct Water Bridge. The Vamir Aquaduct is a striking example of how practicality and innovation can intersect to solve transportation problems. Opened in 2002 in the Netherlands, this 82-foot-long structure allows waterborne vessels to glide over the busy N302 roadway without interrupting traffic. While technically a tunnel for the road beneath, it functions as a water bridge carrying a shallow waterway above the cars. The aqueduct spans the lake, part of a larger network of artificial lakes created during the reclamation of Flevoland, the largest man-made island in the world. With the aqueduct's water depth set at 9.8 feet, small boats with shallow drafts can navigate across it effortlessly. Beneath, about 28,000 vehicles traverse the N302 daily, moving without delays that would otherwise be caused by traditional drawbridges or ferries. The decision to build an aqueduct rather than a conventional bridge or tunnel was based on several factors. A drawbridge or ferry system would have disrupted the steady flow of vehicles on the 302, a key route connecting mainland Netherlands to Flevoland. A full tunnel, while viable, was deemed too costly and time-sensitive. This aqueduct provided an efficient and cost-effective solution, with construction expenses amounting to approximately $61 million, far less than alternative designs. The aqueduct also offers a unique visual and experiential element. To motorists passing underneath, the tunnel creates a fleeting connection to the surrounding lake, while boaters above enjoy the novelty of crossing over a highway. For pedestrians, the walkways provide panoramic views of the lake and its surroundings, making the structure more than just a transportation conduit. The Vamir Aquaduct, at just 82 feet long, is one of the shortest water bridges in the world, yet it efficiently supports high volumes of traffic both above and below. It's located only 1,300 feet from a traditional bridge crossing the same lake. The aqueduct serves a specific purpose, highlighting its strategic placement. Number 3. The Overseas Highway. The Overseas Highway, one of the most iconic roadways in the United States, stretches 113 miles through the Florida Keys, connecting the southernmost point of mainland Florida to the tropical islands of the Keys, ending in Key West. The road was originally conceived as part of the Florida East Coast Railway and later repurposed to become a vital highway. It traces its origins back to the aftermath of the 1935 Labor Day hurricane. It was one of the most powerful storms in U.S. history, which devastated the original railway. In the 1930s, the Great Depression had already taken a toll on the economy, and rebuilding the railway wasn't feasible. Instead, the Overseas Highway was built, with construction beginning in 1938 and completed in 1944. The route cuts through a series of small islands with vast stretches of open water and waves on either side, offering drivers some of the most stunning vistas in the world. Travelers cross over multiple bridges, some of which stretch for miles across open water, connecting islands like Isla Morada, Marathon, and Big Pine Key. The 7-mile bridge, the longest bridge on the highway, spans just over 6.7 miles across the Gulf of Mexico, providing drivers with an amazing view of the water and islands. This bridge, completed in 1982, is a feat in its own right, and it's widely regarded as one of the most scenic drives in the world. In terms of recreational appeal, the Overseas Highway is often considered a driving destination in its own right. For those seeking a more leisurely experience, the highway passes through places like John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, the first underwater park in the U.S., where visitors can explore coral reefs and marine life via boat tours or even snorkeling and scuba diving. The Overseas Highway also plays a vital role in maintaining access to the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary, a protected area that covers approximately 2,900 square nautical miles of marine ecosystems. The sanctuary is a major draw for eco-tourists, contributing significantly to the Key's economy. Number 2. The Ganges Floating Bridge. The Ganges Floating Bridge, specifically those built for the Kumbh Mela festival in Allahabad, India, is a remarkable solution designed to handle the immense logistical challenges of one of the world's largest religious gatherings. This festival, which happens every 12 years, attracts over 100 million people to bathe in the holy confluence of the Ganges, Yamuna, and the mystical Saraswati rivers. To manage the massive influx of visitors, a network of floating bridges is constructed on the Ganges River, using pontoon structures that allow both pedestrians and vehicle traffic. These pontoons are then anchored to the riverbed with ropes, ensuring that the bridge remains stable. During the low water periods, the bridges are often seen resting on the riverbed instead of floating. However, when the water levels rise, the pontoons allow the bridge to float up. While the bridges can support vehicles weighing up to 10 tons, the actual maximum weight for safety is typically set at 5 tons. The Kumbh Mela is held every 12 years. It's an event of staggering proportions. More than 50 million Hindu pilgrims gather to bathe in the holy Ganges, and managing such a massive crowd requires meticulous planning. One of the key challenges is the ability to deploy these bridges quickly and efficiently while maintaining a safe environment. The floating bridge design provides some flexibility as the pontoons allow for the bridge to adapt to changes in water depth. These bridges are built with over 1,700 floating steel pontoons, a task that requires months of preparation. The bridge can also be adjusted to accommodate different types of traffic during higher traffic periods. During the 2019 festival, for instance, the water was very low in the river, which meant the bridges, although designed to float, were mostly resting on the sandy riverbed rather than on the water. The Kumbh Mela, with its 100 million visitors, remains the largest religious gathering on Earth. These floating bridges are crucial in ensuring that the event can proceed without any disruptions. Number 1. Norway's floating tunnels. Norway's proposed floating tunnel project is an ambitious venture that could change the landscape of transportation in one of the world's most geographically challenging regions. Stretching almost 700 miles from Kristiansand in the south to Trondheim in the north, Norway's western coast is famous for its steep, icy mountains and deep fjords. These natural features make traditional road building here exceptionally difficult, and with the existing ferry routes adding significant time to the travel, the need for an efficient, permanent solution has become more pressing. The design of floating tunnels involves 2 concrete tubes submerged approximately 100 feet below the surface of the fjords. Rather than simply floating on the water like a traditional bridge, the tunnel will be tethered to the seabed by cables or supported by pontoons floating on the surface every 800 feet. The buoyancy of the tunnel is balanced against its weight, creating a stable, suspended structure that can carry cars, buses, and trucks safely beneath the water. Now, what makes this floating tunnel particularly unique is its ability to be submerged while still allowing for the necessary structural support without the need of intrusive piers or supports that would otherwise block water traffic. The floating tunnel offers an innovative solution to those problems, combining efficiency with minimal environmental impact. The floating tunnel is a key part of a broader $40 billion infrastructure project aimed at modernizing Norway's road system. By replacing ferries with floating tunnels, bridges, and conventional tunnels, the project aims to cut travel time in half, offering a more efficient transportation alternative. However, this project is not without challenges. Engineers have had to consider various risks, such as potential for ship collisions or even extreme events like explosions or sinking ships. Rigorous safety tests have been conducted, including simulations for various accident scenarios, and early results suggest that the floating tunnel will be robust enough to withstand these threats. Though groundbreaking, this floating tunnel is not expected to be the last of its kind. Engineers in Italy and China are already looking into similar concepts. The tunnel in Norway is expected to be open to traffic by 2050, marking a significant moment in engineering history. Thanks for traveling with me, everybody. I'll see you next time. Thank you to our channel members.